Welcome to Emotional Intelligence for a Project. It's our prime subject. It's actually the epiphany of everything we've learned because it takes everything into account and guarantees success for whatever you've planned. Now, many of you know the problem. We have an idea, we have a dream, we would like to travel, and then that's it, it's the dream. Some people even go a step further and they do research and they study and they read about, but then they don't have the money or they don't have the ability to sell it to their partners or to their family, or they have any kind of work struggle they can't get away. There is always something that prevents our dreams from happening. Or you want to be a very successful business person, and then you have all the tools, you have the knowledge, but then you have not the marketing, or you have not the organization, or you have not the skill to package that. Now, EQ Project is actually exactly for that. It takes all 7 areas together into one and guarantees that you achieve your dream. It's the prime program that I would have wished I had a long time ago because, I have certain strength and I run off and I do certain things, but I leave some away because they're not really my greatest passion. And they always then become the stumbling stones. They become the drama that I could have resolved very easily if I had known that before. Now, since I have the EQ Academy, and put it all together, I actually structure that path and I put all pieces into place, and it's a real mapping out of a path. And that's what the Prime program is, the EQ Project, because what you get right in the beginning is a big PDF, a folder. You print that out, and then you fill out as you go through the program all the pieces that make your project a success. And then all you need to do is to work them off and tick them off, and you can guarantee that you will come to a successful outcome. You run over the finishing line, as we call it. And that's what a lot of people dream about, but never do. They have all sorts of fantasies and ideas, but not the action to do it. And that's the program that will help you to do that. Now, let's just give you an example, a very short one before we go into the subject. I teach a lot of coaches, and they all have, as you can imagine, a big purpose. And this is something that you can say they all want to improve the world. They all have a great passion to help other people. They have, if they've gone through our program, learned a lot. They are empowered, more than any doctors. They might have no marketing skills at all. They have very little money. The discipline, let's say, they pull through our course, so the discipline is not bad. And their communication skills, that's one of the critical parts. And most of all, organizational skills. Now, if you see a chart like that, that's a very passionate person with a big dream that will never ever make it. And that really is one of the problems. They won't make it. And let's just say we add here a very solid and strong organization. We organize every part of the program. We organize every part of their delivery, how they package their products, how they deliver it, the time, everything. We set up payment gateways and payment systems and really make that crystal clear. We bring up their personal self-value so that they're brave enough to actually ask for money and an adequate amount for what they deliver. And that's, again, the balancing act that we do in our mind. Then we add, let's just say the discipline is already there. They do it. Or if not, we motivate them to go over weak areas. Now, the biggest problem that we need is communication. You need to communicate with your client. What do I have to deliver? What can I give to you? Or what do I want in return? And that's something, if you do that and you do it well, all of a sudden your passion goes into place because people know why they want to deal with you. And then we add the marketing and the packaging and the social media and the whole self-worth and self-love. And I'm proud of what I have to the game. And all of a sudden you can realize their passion and their knowledge will thrive. And that's the goal of EQ Project. It's not just taking one thing out and taking that one piece of the puzzle. It's actually empowering all. Now, I will give you 2 or 3 examples, very simple ones that make you understand the principle. Now, you remember Daniel, he was the one that had the paint shop. Well, and then we added purpose to his paint shop. We added a mission to improve the life of people by selling non-toxic paint. Why? Because he had the problem. So the principle is very simple. What's wrong with the world? What problem do you see in this world? And how can you help to make it better? He realized that his children had chemical sensitivity and had high toxic pollution. They had actually cadmium poisoning in a high degree. So as soon as we took that down, their allergies went down, their food sensitivities went down. They became, clear-minded again. The brain fog left. So there was lots of effects that he noticed. So that was a passion. That was something he was easy to learn, to inspire to learn. And once he did that, he became an expert in that field. He changed his business, and the mission, the purpose, was driving him to excellence. And then he managed to get a huge business. The same here, Ben, a chef, same thing. Gluten sensitivity, dairy sensitivity, psoriasis, skin eczema, all sorts of allergies. Couldn't work hardly, had a stressful night job, and he came for health consultation. So when we started to work, he was turning that whole thing around into great knowledge, how to heal the gut with good food. He learned to do it for himself. He was very disciplined, very powerful in that regard, and turned that into a business on his own. And now he owns his cafe and does classes and workshops and cooking seminars and everything. And he's really, stepped outside his problem zone into a career zone. The mission to heal himself, seeing the problem, helping, leadership, we talk about compassion for others and empathy and helping them, propelled him to greatness. And this is what you can do in any chosen field. So adding a purpose is the most important thing so that you have the energy, the fuel, the drive to achieve your goal. Then we do the research and we study, and we do that in a brainstorming session. What are all the factors that you need to look at? Because we all know to come from respect to excellence, to really have an understanding about your subject, you need to see the whole picture. You need to know quite a bit more than just the parrot effect that we call, like talking what everybody else talks. That's easy. You just read a few newsletters and you just keep on copying what they say, but understanding what it really means is a huge difference. And that's the next step that we focus not only with our EQ coaches, but also with our Truly Heal coaches very much, because that makes the difference. That puts you outside that box of copycats. See, every single doctor that we interviewed was like, we use vitamin C to cure cancer. We use all sorts of niacin to cure cancer. Well, does it cure cancer or does it cure depression? No, it just has a maybe 20% short-term effect, and then the problem will override. And that's not something we want to copy. So you want to become an expert and stand way above all those parrots. And that means stepping outside of the sheeple herd and researching a project properly, taking the time to digest it and to meditate over it and to turn off all distractions. You learned all of that already in our other field. But once you've done that, you can then, like Daniel, say, look, this is the paint. It has no beep, 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 beep. And you bring the list of all the toxins, of all the flame retardants, of all the outgassing materials, of everything that affects the brain, everything that is heavy metal, everything. He knows that all. So he can stand up in front of a crowd, which he does. He takes all his builders and he gives them a lesson, a talk, a presentation. He goes to different communities that are building, and then he explains them what they do. And all of a sudden, whoom, he has business. So that's what is really required, that little bit of research and studying. And somebody said to me, I don't want to do a big business. I don't want to be a big project. I want to travel. Well, would it pay to know when you travel to a far destination what you can expect there, what would be interesting about this place, what you don't want to miss because it's really exciting or a specialty of the country? That's what I mean. It's that not learning by heart and knowing something. It's being passionate about your project and to research everything so that it really turns out to be a big success. Organize it. Next step, and that's a long one. We have a long list. And what do we do there? We balance right and left brain. Really, you can remember that little chart here. We balance out our illusions, whereas we just write them all down. And then what is the dream? What is the outcome? What are the clients? What is my turnover? What would I like to achieve? How would I like to be seen to the world? What is my reputation worth? All of that, we write that down. And then we look at all the problems that need to be resolved. And we make a beautiful map that illustrates how you get there. What are the steps that need to be done? What are the little tricks? And I will share many with you that you might not consider beforehand that are all relevant to build this up. That's a very, very big portion of the program because that gives it a guarantee to flow. Again, we take out illusions by bringing them with reality, and we take out the fears. You might have, oh, this is not going to work. Oh, this is too hard. Oh, this is too much work. Oh, I can't work with computers. I'm not good with programming. Oh, I have not, you probably know all your million reasons why you don't do things. Let's just go back to the example. Why can't you travel? Oh, I can't take children out of school. I can't afford that. There is not enough money. I don't know how to get the ticket and the visas and all of that. True. Everybody has excuses for not being magnificent. Well, we crashed them all. That's one of the most fun games because when you realize that it's actually not so, it's just you who think so, that's when everything snaps. All right. And then we move into the communicate your dream and project with everybody around you. Now, if you want to travel, sell that to your family. I had the idea of traveling and taking my family around the world, and I knew it's not going to be a short-term trip, but I sold them a 6-month trip. And that's what we purchased, a 6-month ticket. And then it turned out that you can travel with your ticket 1 year, so it was already good. But they were all adamant that we come back soon. We don't spend that much time. And then the first country turned out to be 4 months. And then the second one was way over another 6 months. So I knew that beforehand. But to communicate in their values, to explain everything, to sell Sabrina, instead of having the security here, having that learning ability, her values, and giving her that ability to adjust to that idea, what she would experience, what the children would learn, family value, learning value, very high, easy sell. And that's something that you learn in our department of relationship, communication of values, speaking in terms of the other person so that they actually come on board and work with you. And that's the same whether you work with colleagues, with partner, with parents, with clients, communicating values, explaining what you would like to achieve and getting them on board because that's what they love. Well, then all of a sudden you win the battle. And that's one of the big things that is really a training process. It's not something impossible. It's just pure training to learn to read the other person's values and then to communicate. And always ask, if I help you reach your goals, how do you intend to help me reach mine? So it's a fair trade. It's a fair exchange. So we work together to achieve this outcome. And that's when you learn to do that and you are on target, then all of a sudden there is no problem to get people on board to work with you and help you and to support that because they get what they need in return from you. Okay, next subject, very important, leadership. And we all know it's to do with how proud you are about your project, what you've put together, and then communicating it with the world. For me, that was a very, very important lesson because if I knew the value, I didn't have to wrap it. I need to have to package and sell it. I knew it. but I didn't notice that nobody else knows. So explaining the value, explaining what you have, putting it nicely, not wrapped into newspaper or but putting it into a bonus added, beautiful looking package that you deliver makes a huge difference. Making out of the pussycat a lion that really looks impressive is an art. And that's what we learn in this subject. And this is where I noticed many people struggle. They might build up the business. They might have the clinic. They might have fulfilled their passion. They might have even gotten a structure in how to work. They might work a lot of time and with very little outcome. That's not the game. But they haven't learned to market themselves, to put themselves out to the world, that the world knows they're there. And again, that's what we learn with the process of developing empathy and establishing the value for yourself. I told you the biggest thing is to feel proud of what you have to offer and who you are and what you can share with this world. And this pride does not come by its own. I know people that have astounding knowledge. Oh, I don't know enough. I can't speak up. I can't go out. Oh my God. They haven't learned to evaluate themselves. They don't see their own value, and as they don't feel it, they don't reflect it back. People don't respect them. Whereas if they stand up and learn this lesson, and again, there is very simple exercises, all of a sudden you have not only a product, you have not only something to sell, you have somebody that wants it. Because that's fans, social starters, leadership, people that admire you for what you've done. And that's, again, one of those problems. If you don't have that, it's not going to work. And then payment. You all know payment is very important. Even charity organizations, to do good, need payment. They need income. So it's not something you can avoid. I have thought very hard about many different types of business or projects. You still need money. Even if you want to travel around the world, how do you get the money to do so? How do you get the return of that investment? And that's something that you can plan out very, very properly. And whether it's in learning or in love or in gratitude or in respect or in titles or in education or in money, that's something you can define, but you need to do so. And you need to have savings to allow yourself to build that up. And this is where I would say 50%, 60% of all our people that we work with struggle most seeing their own value. Having that, understanding, I can ask for that much money because this is what I give in return. And the fair trade, the fair exchange, seeing the value in themselves. Also, to build up a process where then payment system comes in with penalties and everything if it doesn't work. Really, really important. So that's one of the lessons that, again, I had to learn them all. And it was when you build up many businesses, and I've done that. I've had all sorts of different adventures, and I'm a real entrepreneur and I love building up. But I had to go through all of those stages, and every single one was a painful learning experience. Usually cost me a fortune because I forgot that, or I didn't do it, or I outsourced it, and I hoped they were doing a right job because I had no clue what to do. And that's something you will all learn here. You go through your tick box and check every single step. Do I have my payment system? How is it set up? How do I save most money? How do I put some into savings? How do I set into my income stream? And how do I set something into a project stream? Really all, and how do I build many residual income streams? How can I take one project and monetize that in many different forms? It's actually one of the sessions where we work with a brainstorming class, where we really take one project and then we develop some ideas on how to really transform that into many projects. If you have, like me, a class like this, the EQ Academy, it's transcribed, it's sold on different platforms. We have that in many different outlets, in different variations. I do consultations. I have a beginner's class, an individual class. I have the complete package, the project package. We also have a coaching package, so you can become an EQ coach. It's only available to existing members, and you can upgrade to that. But that is like a whole package out of one project. And that's something you really want to have, because that's where you really make profit out of your investment, your energy and time investment, instead of having, just one project and then totally exhausted and then it doesn't bring you any returns. Discipline, well, we need that probably in all subjects which you haven't learned to love. So if you haven't learned to love marketing and advertising, we need to build hooks, those beautiful linking processes to take you to your goal. And let me just come back to that. Linking values and reconnecting with your original purpose is probably, of all subjects, the most powerful. Because once you learn the linking to motivate yourself, to inspire yourself, to activate yourself to get going, to get up in the morning and to do what you promised to do, is probably for most the greatest value. And that's what you learn in this subject. So do you really see that they're all part of the game? That all of them are necessary to bring a project to complete fruition? I notice that we all have that tendency to fall into our old patterns. We do the things we've done so far, and that's how we did it. But if we haven't gotten the outcome of being filthy rich, super successful, extremely well organized, and still have time to do our hobbies and to go for a walk, well, then we've done something wrong. We've organized or structured that whole process with missing pieces. And let's just say, and I think I've written the headline up here on the first slide with the downfall. Let's just say you don't have discipline to pull that through. Does that struggle everything else? Everything else will be a shambles and doesn't work? Yes, that's one of the biggest. If you have no one that you communicate what you've achieved or what you've planned with, or how you try to help people, or how to support them, nothing works. So each of them is equally important. If you have a mess in your organization and it's chaos and nothing is structured and you work from morning till night and you don't get ever anything finished, this was one of my biggest ones. I thought I work a lot, so I must be empowered in that area. Once you set it up right, you don't work a lot, you work a lot less, but have triple the outcome. So that's something you wouldn't want to miss. And let's face it, without a reason to do anything at all, even to get up in the morning out of bed, just, because there is no passion, no purpose, no mission for life, that's a big lack. Without knowledge, it doesn't work. Without having expertise in your field, it doesn't work. And marketing, you know that anyway. So I know that all of you have that big dream. I know it's something innate. We all have that. We all want to be recognized for how magnificent we are, how beautiful we are. We all have that dream of being famous and rich and wealthy and successful. But to get there, we need to have a project. Now, a lot of people say, Marcus, how do I get famous? How do I get successful? How do I get to that outcome? Well, it's pretty simple. You need to produce something which is honorable, outstanding, interesting, funny. It doesn't matter what attribute you give it, that the world wants. And as soon as you do that, you've achieved that goal. And that's why we call it the project. I wouldn't be known if I had not made the movie or written my books. I would not be out there if I had not put the Academy or the Truly Heal Academy together. It's projects that you do, and they create then the fame, and they create the income, and they create everything we've talked about. So it's that project that will take you out of the mass of people that go to work every day, do the same thing every day, into that leadership position, into that position of having achieved something extraordinary. And I can tell you, just traveling with our 4 kids around the world for 3 years, a lot of people stand there and say, wow, why don't you write a book about that? I actually thought about creating an EQ project for that, how to establish that and how to make it. And if you use EQ project for a plan like this, I can guarantee you'll come back with a massive income stream from your journey, with extreme knowledge from that journey, and a way to earn your money 50 times back. Is that worth planning something so extraordinary and beautiful? That's what this project is for. So if you're intrigued, if you would like to know how to get that, how to join the elite program or each individual program, you can choose as you like. You know, some of you might have all 5 areas already super empowered and you're just lacking in 2, well then just pick those 2. But if you feel you need a bit of support to get going and to bring all areas of life for that project to perfection, well then the project, EQ Project Plan, is what you need.